Hello there and welcome. My name is Linda and a very warm welcome to my channel, which is called Linda Tea at Home. Really good to have your company today. Thank you to my regular viewers for coming back, and a warm welcome to anybody that's new, that's joining me for the first time. Really nice to have you along with me. So I've had a bit of a day today so far. It got off, well, I've had a good and bad today. A couple of nice things have happened, but it started off on the wrong foot, to be fair. So I just thought I'd tell you about that. And I've also got something to show you at the end. One of my dogs, sorry, this is a little bit doggy based, this video, so if you can't stand dogs, I'm so sorry. But it was just, she was booked in to have her teeth extracted today. If you've been watching me before, you'll know I've got two miniature schnauzers, and they're quite elderly ladies. They're a bit hinge and bracket, and they only kind of do really what they want to do. But the older one, who's just about coming up to 13, she's got really terrible teeth, and the decision was made that she should have them taken out, which is fair enough. And the appointment, well, she had a scan to check her heart was strong enough, and fortunately it is, and the appointment was booked maybe 3 weeks ago for today. So you had to be there for 8 o'clock and get the dog in nice and early. Now, if you've got a dog, you'll know what I mean, but it's just really like having a person. She doesn't, dogs are very much read your what you're doing, and they are, what am I trying to say? They read your movements and they know what you do, because most of us are creatures of habit, aren't we? We get up in the morning roughly the same time. We, maybe go to the loo, or we go and make a cup of tea, or it's all a routine, isn't it? And then they know when I settle down, they can settle down, and before that they're all a bit all over the place, and they know exactly when their walk is, and they know exactly when they have their breakfast. But she wasn't allowed any food this morning. She had to do this overnight fasting thing, and of course the other dog was able to eat. And I was thinking, I was overthinking it really. I was thinking to myself, well, how do I do it so that she's not too upset and she doesn't sort of get, feel sad that one's getting one thing and she's not getting anything. So current husband had a good idea. He said, don't feed either of them. Take her off, and then when you come back, feed the one at home. So that's what we did. So I shut them in the living room and closed the door, because I thought if they come into the kitchen, which they normally do after they've had their breakfast, and stare at us waiting for a bit of toast to drop on the floor, it's just going to be heart-wrenching. But that of course made that we've got a glazed door, so they just sat there sort of looking really sad through the door. Honestly, it was torture. So I didn't want to have to take her, but current husband couldn't, so I was, got the rotten job. But on the other hand, I wanted to get it over and done with quite quickly. So anyway, got in the car. She's not a mad keen passenger in the car. She doesn't really like it, but she tolerates it. And so we drove to the vets, which is, not the usual one, another one I took her to, and the traffic was bad, and we sat in traffic for a while. But when we got there, I was only about the second person in the car park, so that was brilliant. And then my phone rings, and it's the veterinary surgery, and I'm thinking, well, you probably guess what's coming, can't you? So this nurse was saying, oh, I'm so sorry, but one of the vets is ill, so we're having to cancel Bo today. Bo, that's my dog's name. And I said, oh no, I've just parked in the car park, I'm already here. So anyway, I went inside, and she said, very profuse apologies, whatever the word is. And what can she do? I get it that if somebody rings in sick at the last minute, it was still quite early. I suppose they didn't know before then. She said, oh, we've already rung a couple of people and cancelled them. And I thought, well, you could have put me first on the list because I was already on my way. And she said, well, you can leave her here if you like, but we don't know if we're going to get round to her today. And I thought, do I want to put my poor old pooch through the stress of sitting in a strange place in a cage for 3 or 4 hours and then either having surgery, well, that's what would happen anyway, I don't know where she would have been on the list, or just me having to come and get her and nothing had been done. It's just putting her, because she's, you know, she's a little bit old and I wouldn't like it. So anyway, I was a bit mardy, and I said to this nurse that was telling me all this stuff, I said, look, to be honest with you, I'm extremely pissed off because, you know, I've waited for this for a few weeks now. I've psyched myself up. I said, the dog doesn't care. She doesn't know that she's not going to have a surgery today. But I do. I was really anxious this morning and just, I don't know what it was really. It's just like, as I say, if you've got a human that you love and you're sending them somewhere and you're not in control of that situation, it's just the same with a dog. If you're a dog owner, you'll know exactly what I mean, or a cat owner, or a guinea pig owner, whatever your pet may be, or a person owner. It's the same with people. So anyway, so I drove home and then I kind of got over it a bit. I was a bit put out, but I thought, well, people go to hospital, don't they, to have operations on the NHS, and then they get there and then something's happened and they have to go back home again, you know, something that was out of their control. So I thought, you know, it's worse if it's a person who's in pain, and I don't think my dog's in pain. I can't really tell because dogs don't moan, do they really? They just get on with it and with life and cope with things. So you've got to keep a real good eye on them to know if anything's wrong in the first place, really, unless it's something, you know, obvious. Excuse me. Anyway, so that was fine, and I brought her home and she had a much desired breakfast and had a little play in the garden, and then I popped out to the shops. And then when I got back, I straight away took them out for their walk. And then I came back and I was doing stuff in the house, sorting, washing and stuff. And it wasn't till a couple of hours after that I looked at my phone and I saw there was a missed call from the vets. And I thought, well, I didn't really know what it was about. So I rang them back. Oh no, they'd left a voice message. So I listened to the message and they said, we've had a cancellation. Would you, and this was, you know, a couple of hours before, as I say, that they'd phoned me. And they said, would you like Bo to come in? She could still have her surgery today because we've had a cancellation. And I thought, probably not now, because I'd given her breakfast and I thought, well, that won't work because, of course, she'd been starved overnight. And I thought, well, she'd had her breakfast probably, you know, only maybe 3 or 4 hours before. So I didn't think it was going to work. But I rang them back because I thought, it was very kind of them. I don't know if it's just because I was a bit mimimy about the whole thing, or whether, you know, they were ringing everybody, I don't know. But I rang them back and I said, look, you know, just to thank you, but my dog's had her breakfast now, and so she can't come in, but I just wanted to thank you because, as I said, I was a bit off really with the lady, the nurse this morning. Well, I wasn't really off, but I was just had one of those faces on, you know. And I just wanted to thank you for thinking of me and calling me. And she said, oh, well, if she's not eaten for a certain amount of time, we might still be able to do it today. And I'm thinking, okay, so she went off and checked. And then while she was away, I thought, oh, no, she's had a treat. She has a treat. Both of them have a treat when they come in from their walk. So I explained that when she came back to the phone, and she said, well, it might still be okay. So I told her what treat she'd had. And then they came back and said that, no, that probably, the time she'd had, that probably would be too soon. And so I was kind of relieved really, because I couldn't remember exactly what time I'd given her everything, only roughly. And I would hate it if, you know, I'd told them the wrong time and they all started to give her anaesthetic and she was really bad with it, and it had been my fault. So she's down for a cancellation if they get one in future. So that started my day off badly, but I was very impressed with the veterinary practice for contacting me. And as I say, I did apologise. Well, I didn't say I was sorry, because I didn't think I wasn't rude to anyone. I just, I did say to the nurse when I said I was a bit pissed off with everything, I said, I know it's not your fault and you can't help illness, can you? But yeah, it's, so that was a bit, that wasn't a great start to the day, but I'm very impressed with the aftercare, if you like. So she's down for a couple of weeks' time, so we'll probably have all the same things all over again. Hopefully not with the cancellation of the appointment though. But then I went off to, after that I went off to ASDA, because I'm planning to do a try-on video for you in the near future. I bought a couple of things yesterday, and I thought I'd have a look in there, because I'm really after some summer tops, because even now we've obviously had a couple of nice weeks, really. Not obviously, I don't know why I say obviously, you probably, if you don't live near me, if you don't live in the UK, you won't know, will you? But in the area I live in about, I don't know, 15 miles from central London, so the southeast of England, and it's been really nice, and it's really hot today, and I think we've got rain coming next week or something. But you know, we're in the UK, we have that Dunkirk spirit, don't we? We hang on to it while we can. The first glimmer of a sunbeam and we've got our bikinis on, basically. Well, I haven't, but you know, lots of people have. And it's you know, some people, it's funny, you see people walking along and some people have got coats on and Macs and things, or hats, and other people have got almost nothing on. It's really bizarre, isn't it? But anyway, I went to going off, I went to ASDA, and I was in the queue. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you'll know when I go to ASDA, generally there's some sort of funny story because of just the way things are in ASDA, and you know, the queuing and everything. And there was two tills open today, and if you're American, ASDA is like Walmart, but without the opening hours, I gather. And there's two ladies on, or two people on the checkouts, and then there's all the basket places, which I try not to use at all costs. So I got in a queue. I had no food stuff. I'd already been into Sainsbury's and bought some food that I needed, some emergency rations. And I thought I'll have a look for some tops, and I didn't buy tops in the end, but I did buy a couple of other things to show you in one of my videos. And I got in the queue, and there was several people with tons of stuff in front of me, and I could have gone to the basket thing and tried to use it, but the self-service thing, but I decided not to. And there was this old man. Well, I say old man, he probably wasn't that much older than me, but and he looked a bit like one of my uncles, to be honest. There was something about him. And anyway, I spoke to him and said, you know, made a comment about they should open another till. I think they're going to put that on my gravestone. She always said they should have opened another till. I say that in every blooming shop I go in. And we started chatting. And he was ever such a sweet old man. He was, you know, just chatting about shopping and where I live. I live near the Warner Brothers Studios, where they make all the Harry Potter, or made all the Harry Potter films, and they still make films there now. And they're expanding quite a bit, and there's more construction going on around here, which at the moment is looking very ugly. But they've just taken the whole area over, really, and you know, everyone says, oh yeah, well, it makes jobs for the area and that, and I suppose it does, but and I'm not anti people building stuff, because you know, certainly homes, we need homes, but yeah, just you know, the landscape, not so much from my house, but when you don't have to drive far up the road to see loads of steel girders everywhere. And we were chatting about that, and he was talking, because it used to be an aerodrome before they built the studios there, and he was talking about, and the Rolls Royce engines were made there and whatnot. So we were chatting about that, and then he said, he was talking about he'd lived in Australia. Now, I suppose this man was probably mid to late 70s. He could have been 80, but, you know, he was very, very, very smart and, I don't know, just a nice old gentleman, really. And I wasn't chatting him up, honestly. And he said that he'd emigrated to Australia years before, and he, you know, had a family there, but they came home because his wife's mother was poorly, was ill, and his wife wanted to come back and be with her mother, and he'd said to his wife, no, he said, I'll stay here. They I think they had 3 children or 4, I forget. And he said, I'll stay here with the children and you go home, and then you can come back when, you know, takes the time you need, and you can come back. Now, I don't know what year this was he was talking about, but he was talking about this Australia thing, and I said, oh, I've got something in common with you there, because I was born in Brisbane. And I said my parents and my sister went out to Australia in the 50s, I think 1950, probably 52, something like that, as they part of that £10 POM thing. There was a scheme to get British people to go and live in Australia to build communities, and my parents took that up. You might know this, I've told this before on my channel. So my parents and my sister went over there, 6 weeks on a boat. Got there, eventually my dad found work, and mum had my sister, and then she had me. So then the 4 of us were out there. We didn't have any family out there at all at the time, so it was just the 4 of us. And of course, you know, the only way people could really contact you was by letter in those days, so it was a much more isolated situation. The world is a smaller place, isn't it? And anyway, so I'm going off at a tangent a bit here. So I was just telling him I was born in Brisbane, and I said, do you know, it's so funny, your story is almost the same as mine, because my parents, my mother's mother, my grandmother, who was still living in the UK, got ill, and my mother wanted to be with her. And so, excuse me, so my dad said, well, I'll stay here with the girls and you go back home, you be with your mother, and then you come back. And my mother wouldn't have it. She said, no, if I'm going, we're all going. So that was the end of our life in Australia. But I thought it was so funny, this man was saying it really duplicated. I didn't tell him that this was the same story, but, you know, and I was looking at him and I thought, you look so like one of my uncles. Now, I know he can't possibly be related to me in any direct sense, because, you know, most of my mother's brothers and sisters, my father didn't have any brothers and sisters, they're all accounted for, as in not around anymore, or, you know, we never lost track of any of them. But I thought, well, you never know, he could be something on because when they say, don't they, in this world there's only 6 points of separation between everybody. There's always although you possibly will never be aware of it, somebody walking past my house now could know somebody that I know. You know, you don't have to necessarily be related, but there's a connection between you. And anyway, when I was in front of him in the queue, and I just said, oh, it's really nice chatting to you. And he said, oh, you too as well. So I thought that was really sweet as well. And I thought, I don't know whether his wife's still around or anything. Maybe he likes to have a little chat with people. I mean, I did start the conversation, to be fair. But yes, I thought that was a funny really. It just looked so like one of my uncles, and he'd also gone to Adelaide. That's where some of my family is settled as well, because we did have, maybe I wasn't clear about this, but although we came back from Australia in later years, my mum's 2 brothers both separately emigrated with their families to Australia, so I do still have cousins there. But anyway, so I thought that was quite sweet. A lovely old chat, really, and I thought, oh, you know. Right, so that's kind of the end of my ramblings. I'm going to show you now what I did over the weekend. If you watch Instagram, if you're on Instagram, you might possibly have seen this, because I am trying to use it a bit more, because I just think it's the right thing to do. But I'm really struggling with it. I put a couple of posts up, and I know a lot of you don't do Instagram, because a lot of my viewers are a little bit older, and just us oldest don't really want to be bothered with all that, do we? I've never bothered with it until I started my channel, and I have used it on very rare occasions. But I'm going to try and start to put a few more posts, and you put reels on apparently as well. I know, and but both of the things I've put on recently, I've had help with, and I need to learn how to do this stuff on my own. I will, but it's just a bit of a grind, really, a bit of a grind. But anyway, over the weekend, I was watching a video. So this isn't my idea. I always say anything I show you that I've made, I don't just think of these things. I don't have any imagination at all. I always see, mostly it's on YouTube, I see people doing stuff and I think, oh, we'll have a go at that. But I always say that. I never say, oh, well, I just thought of this myself. So this girl was going around a garden centre. I've got no idea what her channel was called, to be honest, otherwise I'd say. But anyway, she was going around a garden centre, and one of the things that she spotted was a bicycle, a very, not a real bicycle, like a representation, I suppose, of a bicycle made out of wrought iron or something. And it was decorated with flowers. I mean, I expect you know what I mean. I don't think this is something that no one's ever seen before. And I thought, well, that looks nice. And I thought, Now, my granddaughter, one of my granddaughters, came over last year, and she had a bicycle. And so she's only, what is she now? She's 11 now. So it's a kid's bike, but not a tiny one, just a regular size kid's bike. And for some reason, it's ended up staying here. And she's now got another bike. So she doesn't want this bike. And also it needed fixing anyway. The gears on the bike didn't work. I'm doing a mime here. I'm doing it with my hands, aren't I? Stop it. So she doesn't want it, so it's been sitting in our shed just gathering dust, really. So I said to current husband, I quite fancy making something with that bike and putting flowers on it, decorating it with flowers. And he did look at me a bit funny, which is quite usual, and I thought, right, and he actually, the more I described it to him, the more he seemed to think it wasn't too bad an idea. Now, he really helped me with this, because I couldn't do everything myself. Because you see all these people on YouTube, don't you? All these women, that are really good at DIY, and I'm doing miming with my hands again, using power tools and saws and those rotary saws and God knows what else. Honestly, I'm just useless with anything like that. So I do need him to help me with bits and pieces. And he is ever so good. He doesn't mind. He does put up with me and all my mad ideas. So I got this bike out of the shed, and he proceeded to get rid of the gears and some of the bits and pieces that we took the saddle off in the end. Now, I didn't really spend very much on doing this. I tried to reuse stuff and use stuff I've already got. And I painted my front door a while back with some UPVC paint, which doesn't need a primer. And it's a dark green, and I really love the green. But I've got loads of it left. And I thought, I wonder if I could use that on it. Now, I'm fully not expecting this paint to stay on forever. But if it does the summer, I'll be laughing, really. So I painted that, painted the frame of the bike. We bought a couple of plastic troughs, which I painted to put plants in. and he's actually hung it on the fence for me where I had a bit of a gap and I didn't know what to do with it. So I've also put some fairy lights around it. Now last night I went outside, excuse me, and I did a little video of the bike with the lights on, and so you could see what it looks like lit up. But I looked at the video, so I just did it on my phone, and I looked at the video and I obviously forgot to turn the thing off, and it was just me rambling afterwards. So I won't be able to show you that today. But if you haven't already seen it on Instagram, I'm going to show you some pictures of my bike, and I will film it again, and I might stick it on another video when the lights are on so you can see the full effect. But I was ever so pleased with it, and I did think it was a bit of a mad thing to do using a proper whole, you know, heavy bike, but just hoping the fence doesn't fall down. But yeah, so I'll put that on the end of my video today, so it's not just completely me just talking to you. I'm going to say goodbye for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate it. So I'm going to be back on Friday with another video. I don't know whether to do the clothing. I think I might do the clothing one on Friday. That might be the easiest thing to do. I'm not really sure about anything I've bought. I will give you a little teaser though. I showed these to my daughter just now, and well, one of my daughters, and she sort of made that face as if to say, I bought these in ASDA. Now I'm forever buying shoes that just aren't right, but these are actually quite comfy. I wanted something a bit trainer-like, and I quite like this whole shiny metal thing, but I didn't really want them to be completely shiny. And I don't know, and I thought they're not big clumpy ones, because I did think about buying some of those with really thick soles, but then, nah. So I bought these were 16 quid, and I've tried them on and they actually fit, and well, I don't know if they look nice or not. You'll be able to tell me when you see them on me on the try on all. I'll try them on then. But £16, so George ASDA. I wear it well. In these, I've got a size 8, but they're not a wide fitting, and I don't have slim feet, and they do seem nice and comfy. They're available in sizes 3 to 9, and it's yeah. George Fabulous Footwear. There you go, you heard it here first. So I don't know what you think of those, but I thought they were quite nice, because some of it is like that sort of, it's not suede, but it looks a bit like it there, and it's a sort of a khaki and what do you call that colour? Taupe, is it? Is that taupe? I don't know what it is. I always get confused between the taupe and what's the bluey colour. Oh, honestly, don't forget I asked. Honestly, I can't remember. So yeah, let me know what you think. But they are really quite comfy. I haven't actually worn them anywhere. I've just tried them on, but they're just nice and cushioned inside. Right, so I will see you on Friday. Thank you so much for watching. If you have stuck to the end of this video, hope the stories weren't too boring. My daughter's just got a puppy. Sorry, I know dogs. She's bringing him over this afternoon to meet my dog, so God knows how that'll go. He's a little cockapoo. But honestly, I mean, puppies just are cute, aren't they? Whatever sort of dog they are, they're just cute. So I'll try and get a little bit of footage of him and show you. But he's called Arlo, so he's my grand pup now, I suppose, isn't he? I said that the other day to current husband, and he went, what? But there you go. I thought that was quite nice, grand pup. See you soon. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye for now. Take care.